What is going on, guys? Bet Records back with another UFC video. This week we got the upcoming UFC 281 event headlining right here. You can see Pereira and Adesanya. We got Justin on here, our UFC MMA expert here, and we're gonna tackle these top couple matchups on the main card here for this upcoming matchup in MSG this Saturday, November 12th. I believe you want to start with Poirier. Justin, is that right?
Yep, we're going to go right into it, go right into the fire with the big three matchups of the night that everyone's going to be tuning in to watch. We're going to start off with the people's main event. We got Poirier, Dustin the Diamond Poirier against Iron Michael Chandler. Bro, this fight was bound to happen, and I'm excited for it.
Did they have some beef going on, or is this just kind of the next kind of two guys in the ranks?
Not yes and no, kind of. So when Chandler was when he would sign with the UFC, him and Dustin were friendly. He was the co-main event for Dustin McGregor 2 back in Abu Dhabi not this past January, the January before. Right after the fight, they both won, shook hands, see you down the road, this and that. And then just Poirier kept winning, got his title shot. Chandler got a big win against Tony Ferguson back in May. Knockout of the year candidate. In my opinion, it is the knockout of the year. And then, I don't know, they kind of went at it back in, I think back in August in Salt Lake City. They got into a little bit of a scuffle in the crowd. And then they did a live stream with DC, just try to clear the air. They basically said, it's a misunderstanding. We don't have anything against each other. You're just the next guy in front of me, and I look forward to punching you in the face.
Sure.
You can call that beef, but I just call that friendly competition.
Right. Right. It's that's really what it is. It doesn't even really sound like a rivalry. I mean, they're in the same weight class. I kind of minimized it to see. Yep, Poirier is still number 2 as I expected, and Chandler is number 5. So they're fairly neck and neck still. Sounds like they have been for quite some time. What do you see kind of popping off in this matchup here, Justin?
I see this being another entertaining fight. Whenever you get Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler both on the same card, you're going to expect fireworks. Ever since Chandler burst onto the scene in the UFC, every single fight, everyone's tuned in. There were fireworks. Nobody was missing it. And I think on a couple occasions, I believe Ferguson, he got the performance of the night. And against Gaethje, he got fight of the night and fight of the year of 2021. So you got two superstars who light up fireworks. Expect a great show. I really do. Now, seeing a knockout, I'm not too sure. Both guys got incredible knockout power, yet they're both durable. Both have been knocked out before. But Chandler, he went 3 hard rounds. Gaethje didn't get finished. Poirier came just a little shy of beating Oliveira for the title last year in December in Vegas. So I expect a slugfest, but I do see it going to a decision. Mm. And saying who wins, I'm not too sure. I'd probably lean towards Dustin, due to experience, still being on fire. Some people still question the credibility of Michael Chandler, saying his only wins in the UFC. Well, his only wins in the UFC are against Dan Hooker, who that was the start of his decline, and then an aging Tony Ferguson. So some people still question his credibility. While Poirier beating McGregor twice, he beat Hooker in a fight of the night. That was the last time Hooker really looked legit. He'll also be on this card too, opening up the pay-per-view. So I expect a fight of the year candidate, and I can see both guys getting fight of the night bonus. And I would probably lean towards Poirier in this one.
Yeah, I think I would have to as well. Just and I don't even want to say he's a bigger name. These guys both, deserve to be, top 3 fights, if not top 2 or main carding it, right? So definitely think this will be a great one to watch as well. My best guess is Poirier just he's got the better record. He's obviously the higher rank. For contention of a belt for this weight class, if Poirier wins anything there, Michael Chandler, if he wins, does he overpass Poirier at all? Anything like that?
I would say the winner of this fight gets a rematch with Charles Oliveira. Mm-hmm. Both these guys lost to Charles for the UFC lightweight title. And Charles, as we know, recently just lost the title to Islam Makhachev a couple weeks back. And Islam's in talks of doing this super fight with Alexander Volkanovski. And that's probably going to take place in Perth in February, Perth, Australia. So whoever wins this fight, I see Well, Makhachev and Volkanovski work out their differences in the cage to see who's the number one pound for pound. I could see the winner of this fight taking on Charles Oliveira for the number one contender and getting the next fight for the winner of Makhachev versus Volkanovski.
Okay, okay. What do you think with Charles Oliveira? Do you think that he would have a chance to, get one more fight out of this, or even if it were to change hands and that kind of matchup there with the pound for pound, do you think he's got a shot here? Do we just got to give some of these other guys as a chance at this point for the lightweight?
You mean like a shot to fight again this year?
Not this year, but for the belt within the next, let's just say 3 to 5 matches. Do you think we could see Charles back there fighting for the title next 3 to 5 in this weight class?
Yeah, one win, and he probably gets an immediate rematch with Makhachev. I mean, if you think about it, really, even though Makhachev kind of steamrolled through him,
right?
And Charles is the only guy that can really hang with Makhachev. He's Khabib 2.0. If anything, people are saying that he's better than Khabib. Khabib would just drag you out, take you a decision, and some rare cases choke you out. Islam's trying to get you out of there as quick as possible.
Yep, he's trying to get in and out.
I do believe out of everybody in lightweight, Oliveira still has the best chance of taking that throne back from Makhachev. But everybody has a puncher's chance. All it takes is one punch. Makhachev has been knocked out before. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. Looks like we got the women's strawweight title bout up here next. The current champ Carla Esparza against the number 2 rank. Yeah, I know I butcher him every time, Justin. So you correct me. Zhang Weili. You correct me now. Butchered them both.
Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili.
There you go. Looks like Carla is 20-6, so she has more losses but she still is the champ. What's kind of the background story here, Justin?
So Carla Esparza is on a 6-fight winning streak. Her most recent fight, she stole the crown off Thug Rose Namajunas, which, if we're being completely honest, for those of you who follow MMA and saw that fight back in May, it was arguably, if not, in my opinion, the worst title fight in MMA history, regardless of men or woman. I believe from what I read that it was the least amount of strikes thrown in a 5-round fight. And I do know, so Esparza's whole game is taking you down. She was 2 for 11 on taking Rose down, and Rose was 1 for 1. And, it was one of those decisions. It was split decision, but a lot of fans say that it should have just been a draw or a no contest because of how bad it was. In my opinion, I think it should have, but that's not really how that works. If you make it to the bell, there's a decision without like some other external controversy, what you say. Right. I mean, the fight was boring in what it is. At the end of the day, Esparza still got the belt. She got it done, and now she's going for her first title defense against Zhang Weili, the former champion.
So it is former champion against current champion.
Correct.
The heights are fairly similar, nothing crazy there. Reach is exactly the same, both in leg and arm. Who's going to have the advantage in this one, and what is it going to be? Do you know?
Striking, Weili. Weili has the biggest striking advantage against Esparza. Now, if it goes to the ground, Esparza has the advantage. The thing that's going to make or break this fight is if Esparza can get Weili down. Esparza has some of the most ferocious wrestling in women's MMA history. She gets you down, she's holding you down. But Weili has a 60% takedown defense, so that'll play in her factor. As long as she can keep Esparza from taking her down and outstrike her, I see Weili taking this all day and reclaiming her belt. Weili's coming off a big knockout over former strawweight queen Joanna Jędrzejczyk, sending her into retirement. So all the momentum's on her side right now. Before she was champion, she lost her belt to Rose and then lost in the rematch to Rose. So off that big win against Joanna, she's back in the title picture. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if they take this to the mat or not. Who do you think is going to truly win this match at the end of it? Do you think it's going to go to decision? And my final kind of question is, do you think it makes a difference for Carla to be playing in her home country or not?
I do believe that Weili is going to win. I believe with Weili's stellar takedown defense, she's going to be able to weather the storm against Carla's grappling. And every time she fails a takedown, Esparza is going to get desperate. She's going to get frustrated because her whole game plan is to take her down. And when that happens, you use a lot of energy trying to take someone down. And I see Esparza shooting for a takedown in the first 30 seconds to kind of set the tone.
Right.
If she gets that takedown, then it's going to set the momentum right away for the first round. And then wins that first round, it'll set the momentum for the rest of the fight. So Weili's key to victory is stop those takedowns.
Yep, but definitely probably stand on your feet and keep doing what you do best. Hit the punches as you can. I feel like UFC home field advantage doesn't really matter. Any big plus for Carla being in the US? Not so much.
Not really. I mean, it's all based out of the US. A lot of these foreign fighters, most of them live in America now because
that's fair.
Especially with COVID, they're just leaning back into doing international events. I mean, they were just in Abu Dhabi a couple weeks ago, and they're going back to Brazil in January and then Australia in February. So they're working their way back. I don't believe there's really an advantage. The only time it really is an advantage if you're a Brazilian fighting in Brazil against a foreign person, because that crowd in Brazil is ruthless.
Right.
They will harass you.
Right. So maybe it is truly different countries than the US, but nonetheless, this will be another great matchup. Another great title belt, and we'll see how that one plays out. The main event of the evening, we got Alex Pereira, the number 4, facing against the current champ, Israel Adesanya. I know you're definitely the most excited for this one. I think a lot of people are. Everyone kind of likes to see the, anime expert, if you will, kind of step in the octagon. Adesanya 23-1. Alex Pereira 6-1. What's kind of the background here? Why does he only have 7 fights? Am I missing something?
7 fights in, and he's already fighting for the world title. That is incredible.
Yeah, what?
Here's the backstory. I believe it was about 10 years ago, before Adesanya even ventured into MMA. He was a glory kickboxing champion. He was relentless. And I believe he was undefeated in kickboxing back in these years. And then he ran into a guy named Alex Pereira. In their first fight, great fight, Pereira squeezed out a decision, but the controversy is that Israel did win this fight. I personally haven't seen too many highlights of that. Or no, I've seen the highlights. I just haven't watched the whole fight.
Sure.
Watching highlights and watching the whole thing makes a big difference. But from what I've read, hearing other people talk, the MMA guru, I'm a big fan of his. He's done a lot of work on this. I've heard his commentary on it. He gets a lot of hate for it, but I think he does some good content. He explains Israel probably did win that fight. So then they rematched, and Israel got knocked out cold by Pereira. Head down. They had to give him the oxygen mask. He was sent into another universe after that. Since that night, Israel has not fought in kickboxing since. He moved to MMA.
Damn.
Alex Pereira kept going, kickboxing, became the glory double world champion in kickboxing. And that's basically the background of it. Pereira is coming back to finish the job.
Interesting. Because they were on a card earlier this year, right? They weren't facing each other, but they were co-main event and main event or something, maybe something after that. And there was some beef at the press conference in that as well, right? Is that correct?
Not really with Pereira and Izzy. It was more of Israel and Sean Strickland, because it was the International Fight Week card, and that press conference was the Sean Strickland show. So they basically asked him on stage, who's the best striker on stage? And he says, I don't know. He points at because he was fighting Alex that week. And he's like, I don't know. And he points at Alex and he says, that man's the man that slept that man right in front of him. He's like, what was it, Izzy? 2-0, 2-0. What was it, Izzy? And Israel got so pissed off. That's one thing I've noticed is ever since the lead up in this fight, even back on International Fight Week, if you even mention the name Alex Pereira around Israel, he would just snap into an anger. Like that's something right there that's kind of like just making me think, like, is he like mentally prepared for this fight? Because now he has nowhere to run from all this talk.
Nope. No, and he doesn't. And the people they keep calling, like, the boogeyman, if you will, right? He's going to be standing right in front of you in, less than a week. They're not running away. You're not going to go pout in a corner, right? He's literally going to be standing inches away from your face. So,
and I think Sean Strickland said it best in that press conference. look at that picture of Pereira. You see it?
Yep.
That guy walks up behind you in an ATM. What's things going through your mind? That's one scary looking dude.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But yeah, so the way I see the thing that is just astonishing to me is after Israel got knocked out by Pereira, he moves over to MMA, becomes the champion. And Pereira just comes, he's like, you know what? I'm going to chase this guy again.
Right.
What's got to be going through Israel's head? I'm not going to speak for him, but if I was Israel, this is what would be going through my head. This guy embarrassed me in front of the entire world, put me to sleep, and beat me twice. And at the end of the day, he could have just closed the book and said, okay, I'm better than this guy. No, he's switching over to my sport, coming for my title and trying to take everything away from me and ruin my life. Because if Pereira wins this fight, I see Israel just never being the same.
Right. No, I kind of agree, because not only does he lose the belt, but now he beats you twice at two different sports.
Yeah.
And now you've made a name for yourself, right? And a brand almost in the UFC. And now he's going to maybe knock you out again.
And even saying, like, I'm the best striker, but even knowing out there was always someone that was better.
Right.
Israel has a lot to lose in this fight. And so does Pereira as well. If Pereira loses this fight, then all his hype is gone. Everyone will forget all about the knockout of Israel. It'll just be gone. So all these fighters have everything to win and they have everything to lose in this fight.
Do you think, and I think you kind of hinted at this already, I think the pressure might be more on Israel than Alex.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it might fuck him up a little bit. I still, my unexperienced opinion is I have to go with the champ. But what are your thoughts, being the UFC expert, and think this is going to be a knockout decision? What do you think?
Listen, I totally understand that. Israel is a really good fighter. He's at the top of off of the pound for pound for a reason. I'm not going to speak for him because at the end of the day, I'm not him. I'm not in his head. I'm just putting myself in his shoes, and all that stuff would be going through my mind right now. Is that this guy's coming back to whoop my ass a third time in Madison Square Garden on arguably the biggest card of the year. So if you're asking me how this fight goes down, I think Israel wins by knockout.
All right.
I do. I think so. We're just gonna have a straight kickboxing match, in all honesty. Nobody's gonna shoot. Nobody's gonna shoot a takedown. Not one. No way. That's not what these guys do. I don't even know. Does it even say scroll to it and click on grappling? Does it show how many takedowns they've taken? Israel's never attempted a takedown in the UFC, and neither has Pereira.
Nope.
And they both have a 70% takedown defense. These guys are not wrestling. They are not shooting for a single leg in this. We are going to get a kickboxing match. Where I think the difference in this fight is going to be is that the difference between kickboxing and MMA is that in kickboxing, you can't get someone up against the fence, throw an elbow, throw knees, all this type of stuff. And when it comes to that, I believe Israel has more experience in that. Pereira did in his UFC debut exactly a year ago, coming up this month in Madison Square Garden. Not to be honest,
nice.
won by a flying knee.
No, yep.
At the same time, I think when it comes to that dirty boxing level, I just think Izzy's gonna school him. I just really think that's what's gonna happen. You know, the movement's really different in kickboxing as opposed to MMA. It's the same thing. You and me have talked about boxing and MMA, and you see how differently they move.
Yep. No, 100%, because it's a totally different game, and that's kind of why I know that they're going to be standing on their feet probably every single second of every round, right, in this matchup. But at the same time, Pereira's only had 7 fights in the cage. I know it's similar, right? I know it's all all these similarities, right? But it's a different stage when you hit UFC. 120% is, and I think you just have to ride with the champ in this one. He's just got the experience.
But the other thing, Pereira was kind of getting some hate, saying in his last fight, fighting two unranked guys, and then jumping up and fighting number 4, Sean Strickland. People were saying he didn't even deserve this fight. Guess what happened? Knocked him out in less than 2 minutes. Badly. And then Just as soon as it happened, everyone know, okay, he's fighting Israel next.
Yep.
Because a lot of the things is getting a title shot. It's a lot more than how good you are as a fighter. If there's a story behind it, you will get the title shot.
Yep. If you're gonna get the pay-per-view buys, not only will you get a title shot, you might get the main card, just like Alex Pereira.
But I will say this: I still think Israel is going to win, but I don't think it's going to be an easy win.
Decision? No, you said knockout,
No,
right?
not. I don't think it's going to be a decision. Somebody's going to sleep.
All right.
Because here's how I see it: in Israel's last fight, I've been listening to Israel all week talk, and he's received a lot of criticism ever since the Cannonier fight. Kind of playing it safe, kind of being boring, this and that. Pereira is not going to let him play it safe. He's going to be in his face, pressing him the entire time, trying to rip his throat out and send him into the shadow realm. Israel is not going to be able to play it safe in this fight. He has to face this man eye to eye and fight.
Yep. Israel Adesanya now has to face his following boogeyman. We'll even say that, and followed him from kickboxing now to the UFC, squaring off this Saturday, November 12th, 9 p.m. Central Time at MSG Madison Square Garden.
A Mecca, the world's most famous arena, only on pay-per-view.
There you go. Any final thoughts about any of these matchups or this card before we sign off, Justin?
This card is the one I've been most excited for all year. The last one, it was a good card, but I was still in the back of my mind watching that last card and thinking, I just can't wait for Adesanya Pereira.
Seriously.
This is gonna be a historic night at Madison Square Garden. That's already had some great superstars there.
Yeah. Just adding to the cast of stars that are gonna face off in one of the biggest stages known to man.
Yep, that is correct.
Well, that is it for this one. If you guys are still tuned in, make sure you guys subscribe for more. Let us know in the comments your questions and thoughts. Is there a factor in any of these matchups we didn't think of? Let us know below. We'll get right back to you as soon as we can.
And be sure to follow our MMA Twitter account, bet_MMA, bet with 2 T's.
And there you are. Thanks again for tuning in as always. We'll get